Kevin is a graduate of St. Clair College, journalism and print and new media program. His passion lies in telling stories of people who can't otherwise tell their own individual stories themselves. Kevin also, and he'll talk about it, Kevin also has a role at CFTV 34, which is our cable company, and he covers local sports as well as community interest stories, and a lot of them to do with disabilities. His program is called No Limits, and is to educate, inform, and empower all residents of Windsor and Essex County. And to aid the various agencies in the county that will provide sport training, counseling to individuals and their families. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin. I'm not don't want to talk to you. So Kevin McShan.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor for me to be here this afternoon, and I want to thank the Essex County Accessibility Committee for having me this afternoon. As you heard John said, I want to thank him for introducing me. I've spent the last 3 years as a volunteer assignment reporter for CFTV 34 in Leamington. And one of the greatest gifts I have as a reporter is going out into the community, talking to people that really make the difference. And the stories that I cover and the people that I meet, the people are truly what make my job the most rewarding and most satisfying on my end. I am also the host of a new pilot program, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It's called No Limits. The purpose of the program is to profile exceptional people living extraordinary lives each and every day with either a physical, intellectual, or a mental disability. And the purpose of the program is to profile those types of individuals in a positive and rewarding setting, because it is my belief personally that every one person has a unique and special story in which to tell. And as you'll see throughout my PowerPoint presentation, which you all have been given a copy of, most of my belief is that people are empowered by their messages, and that's part of my role here at CFTV, that allows people to express themselves in a positive platform in order to get their story out into the public. It is my belief that everyone is empowered by their own sense of accomplishment. Everybody's portrait of success is laid out and painted differently. So I always judge myself by my own individual standards, because everyone's standard of success will be different. And one of the quotes that I live my life by is, the tragedy of life is not when it ends, it's refusing to live while you still have air to breathe. And the origin of that quote is always to capture the essence of your own individual life and make sure that you set your own standards of achievement and accomplishment, because it's my belief that we're all a part of the world, and coming together as one is always better than segregating others through different categories of society. So my role at CFTV lately has been to go out into the community and profile different disability-related matters. The pilot episode of the program, No Limits, started with inclusive education and including students within specialized programs within the local school board here. So No Limits will be aired once it gets started, once every couple of weeks for 13 weeks. So once we get approved from the station, it'll air once every couple of weeks. And I also want to tell you that climbing mountains of success is different for everyone. My personal story is not a lot different than yours. I still want to be successful and contributing to the world through journalism is the way that I consider myself to be making a difference within society, because empowerment of self is always better than following the lead of others. So if we can empower ourselves to make a difference within the world, it's always a positive thing, and I always look to touch the lives of people and making their world a more prosperous and enjoyable place. You know, one of the best parts of being a reporter is being exposed to a whole variety of people that have different stories in which to tell. As you can see from my presentation, I believe that the true realization of equality doesn't come when you measure people by their physical abilities, but rather the content of their abilities and character.
That's right, Ken.
Because everybody has a different set of value systems and beliefs to bring to the world. And one of my jobs as a reporter is to provide a more objective and sustainable view of the world through people with special needs and that sort of thing. I'm always amazed by the courage of people that are willing to share their story, because sharing their story for some people is not always that easy. So I always tell people, look at me and not the camera, because once you throw a television camera in front of someone, they climb up. You could have a long conversation with someone without the camera, but as soon as it turns on, they climb up. So part of my job is to make sure that when I interview people, it's more of a conversation rather than me sitting behind, sitting in front or behind of a camera. So I always like to look at people directly in the eye, because one of the things they tell you in journalism school is that you have to look people in the eye, because if you're not engaged in their conversation or their story, they're less likely to communicate their story. So I always look at people as entities of greatness. And what that means is that you always find the greatest in people instead of looking for their individual flaws. Because each and every one of us is different and has a different set of skills and abilities, and it's incumbent upon all of us to make sure that we come up with a way to showcase those skills and different abilities as one. Writing our book of life, I always tell people, the celebration of your life isn't when it's over, but when your final book of life is written. I always tell people, are they going to want more from you, or are they happy that your book is ended? And we all have the power in which to answer that very question. It's incumbent upon all of us to define the people and the society and the community in which we live. And we all have a hand in that. And No Limits is intended to give people with disabilities the chance to feel empowered within their own community. CFTV is looking for community sponsorships or funds to produce the program. So if you want more information about that, I can provide it to you at the end of my presentation. But one of the things I want to make sure that I impart upon all of you is that life is such a short time in which to enjoy and to prosper. And prosperity for all of us takes on many different forms. Success for all of us is different. So when we judge ourselves by our own standards, we feel a sense of belonging and accomplishment because we all receive satisfaction from different sources of inspiration. Some of it we've created ourselves, some of it comes from outside sources, but a lot of the time we are in control of our own destiny. So I want to make sure that we all have an opportunity to share our story, and that's one of the reasons I've dedicated my young life to becoming a reporter, because it is important to me that everyone has the opportunity to flourish and to feel as a part of or included in their community. And certainly, promoting disability issues is something that is important to me, and quite frankly, it's become my primary focus and responsibility at CFTV 34. So I am blessed with the opportunity each and every week to go out in the community to meet new people and to hear their stories of inspiration, courage, and dedication to not only their lives, but to making the community in which they live a much better place. One of the things that I live by myself is that we're all given certain points in our lives to define our legacy. For me, it's becoming a reporter and sharing my journalistic talents with the rest of you. But for you, it may be gardening or being a teacher or being within the community as a whole. So it's important for us at CFTV to be a part of your life and to hear your story. And part of my story is not, as I said before, much different than yours. Before I decided I wanted to be a reporter, I wanted to pursue a career in law, but I figured that I had to go through 3 years of law school and only 2 years of journalism school, so journalism school won. So I became a reporter, and that was a good choice because I feel that my talents are best displayed by allowing you to tell your story. And one of the greatest thrills I get is enriching the lives of others. The greatest smile I get as a person is not personal achievement, but enriching the lives of others, because I feel as if I'm able to enrich the lives of other people, and then my community at large will be a better place. One of the things that I was honored to be asked to do this today was because I feel that each and every one of you has the capability and the ability to make a difference within you. And the way we do that is defining, as I said before, defining the legacy in which we want to leave. I know all of us have families and friends, but it's those things we do without anyone watching, that have the most impact on those around us. So the satisfaction I get is not sitting in front of a camera and talking my ear off, although my mother may disagree with that. But it brings me great satisfaction to see people that are shy or that may not have the same sense of courage or inspiration that some people say that I do, comes out on the rest of society and the people that I touch. Because the greatest part of life is enriching those that need that extra push to reach their fullest potential and prosperity. So if I have to leave you with one message, it would simply be, seize the moment of your opportunity to be great, because greatness comes in many forms and many different shapes, and each and every one of us has a chance and an opportunity, an honorable opportunity to influence the rest of the society in which we live. Greatness, for me, comes when you, as a society, are happy. And the way we do that is by working together to accomplish the same or similar goals. And we all have a different vision of the world. And it's incumbent upon all of us to mesh our visions together to make the community at large a better place. So with that, I thank you for your time this afternoon, and we'll take some questions. Anyone has questions?
And try to use your big voice when you're talking. This room can swallow you up.
Okay, what about if, like, somebody says to you, okay, you can't do this?
Well, I'll tell you.
Barriers, or?
There are many different ways of doing it. Like my life is not conventional. Conventional wisdom doesn't work for me because of the special needs that I have. I'm 23 years old. I have cerebral palsy. I've had it all of my life. And as I said before, your definition of success, doing something the same or as the same or different as someone you may be related to or that you know, may not always work. So we all have to find our different way of succeeding and be happy with the way that we reach the end goal. Just because you may have a disability doesn't mean you can't be successful. Because everyone has a different bar that they try to reach, and make sure that you define whatever your own bar may be.
Can you talk a little bit about how the opportunity for the show No Limits came about, and how you were given that opportunity for the show?
It's actually a very funny story. I was assigned to cover this event last year, and a guy named Robert Pearson, who you saw in the video, he's the director of media and operations for a company called Digital Media Inc. And they wanted us to produce what Digital Media Inc. is they're a company that is paid by the government to produce a special news programming, and they asked us to produce a show for the Windsor Essex area because there wasn't really any content for that. So that's how No Limits got started with the cooperation with CFTV, Community Living Essex County, Community Living Windsor, and our other community partners that have wanted us to begin the show. So for the last 2.5 years, we've been working on getting it started. So that's how it got started.
When officially does the show start?
If I had the answer to that, I would love to tell you, but I am not particularly sure. But once I find out, I'll be sure to let Mary Brennan know so that all of you can watch the show. But once it does officially start, it'll air once every 2 weeks for a total of 13 weeks. And it's a half-an-hour program, and as I said at the beginning, the purpose of the show is to produce a platform where exceptional people such as yourselves, who may have all sorts of disabilities, have a platform to tell their story. And No Limits is similar to the 60 Minutes format, where we take topics relating to disabilities and put them into segments. The first episode of No Limits, as I said at the beginning, has to deal with inclusive education, and we went to Western High School. We covered the Special Olympics out at Sandwich last year, and at Western we covered the culinary arts program there, and their out-of-body program. And for those of you that don't know, Western Secondary School, all of the kids that go to Western have some sort of intellectual or mental special need. It's a vocational or special needs school that focuses on trade programming that allows people with disability or students with disabilities a chance to get out into the community. Also in the pilot episode, we went to Century to cover their transitional program, and what the transitional program is it's a program that is intended to provide those kids with special needs a chance to be integrated into a special needs environment, or a mainstream classroom, a mainstream classroom from any grade level that they may come to Century at. And as I said before, we also covered the face-to-face program that the Windsor Accessibility Commission and Assisted Living Southwestern Ontario puts on every year. And what the purpose of the face-to-face program is, it's a chance for people with special needs to get out into the workforce for a day and experience work. So that, in a nutshell, is the segment for No Limits for the first episode. Well, I thank you for your time and listening to my story this afternoon, and let's make sure that we all write a successful end to our book of life. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and thank you for participating in this event.
I'd just like to thank Kevin for coming here today, and I just have a little token of appreciation. And also, if anyone does have a story to tell, please, come up and see Kevin, and you can arrange with him to maybe get your story out on the network. So thank you very much for coming to this breakout session.